In today's video, can you lose body fat without being hungry? Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, we're going to talk about the topic of hunger as it's related to kind of weight loss and fat loss and losing body fat, improving your body composition. And is being hungry a part that is required to reach that goal? And today's question comes from right here on my Instagram direct message. So what I'd love for you guys to do is go to my Instagram, send me your direct messages. What I'd like to do is review them. I save them, I screenshot them. I haven't been able to keep up with my videos recently just because of the amount of travel I've been doing because of work, going to bodybuilding competitions. We've got a new office here, all the things. I won't bore you with the details, but I'll tell you this. It's picking back up and I'm able to answer more questions. I've been getting in my DMs and answering those questions, even sometimes directly if I don't feel like a video is warranted. And if you like this type of information around an evidence-based approach of a coach who not only does this himself, but coaches people to do it in a manner that's kind of up and coming, right? Like this is the new way things are done. We're explaining why things happen, why things work. Hit subscribe. It's what I love to do here. And for today's question, I'm gonna read it, then we'll get into it. Can you be in a calorie deficit, moderate to substantial, so 300 plus calories, and not feel hungry? Does leanness have anything to do with it? If you do more cardio and eat more, but same calorie deficit, does this change the answer? Thanks. So this is actually a really good question, and it's something that as I've been through this process many times myself, I've learned a lot about hunger and how it relates to success and weight loss. So let me start by saying this. You can absolutely lose a lot of weight and never be hungry, okay? But, and you nailed it when you mentioned this, a lot of it comes down to body composition and how active we are when it comes to this. So if you are just going to put yourself in a huge deficit, 500 calories, 1,000 calories, maybe even more of a deficit, you're certainly going to have to learn to deal with some hunger. And I think a lot of us psychologically feel better that we're hungry throughout the day. I know when I am getting, let's say, ready for a bodybuilding show or competition lean, I know that I should be hungry throughout the day, especially when I get to that 10, 11% body fat and below. Hunger is going to play a major role, so much so that the psychology of it will mess with me if I'm not hungry throughout the day. I kind of use it as a litmus test and say, well, I'm not really that hungry today. Am I doing something wrong? And it's not always the case. But let's talk about how you can avoid hunger while losing body fat. So let's say you're, I don't know, 50 pounds overweight, right? You're 50 pounds. Let's say you're 250 pounds and you want to be 200 pounds. And the goal is going to be to lose weight at a responsible rate. You can absolutely do that. You can lose, say, 1 to 1.5% of your weight. You know, we're talking about 2.5 pounds or so per week without any hunger. But the best way to do that is by food selection. And this is where a lot of people will say that flexible dieting is not as good as clean eating. Because with flexible dieters, you'll see that they'll sometimes eat things that are kind of higher in sugar. And this is really the value of food volume. Can you hit all your goals by eating things like Twinkies and McDonald's and sugar-based foods if you stick to your macros? Absolutely. But here's the difference. Food volume is going to be much lower. Cravings are going to be much higher. Those foods are not going to keep you satiated as long. They're not going to be as fulfilling. I promise you, if you eat a banana, which let's say it has 30 grams, 25 grams of carbs in it, versus something with sugar in it that has 25 or 30 grams of carbs, the banana is going to be much more satiating because it's got some fiber in it, it's got some fructose in it, it's going to keep you fuller longer than if you just have some, I don't know, gummy bears and have 25 grams of carbs from that. That's like pure glycerol, pure sugar, right? So the difference is in the digestion rate. Now, if you're very tough-minded and you can just eat your sugar and you don't mind being hungry, great. But for most people, I think what we'll find is that the most sustainable approach is the one that requires the least willpower. I know a lot of us can use willpower during this process, but you don't want to rely on willpower throughout it. Why? Because willpower is fleeting. Willpower is something that we have a very limited amount of, and if you burn through that, then you're just going to have to rely on your discipline. And if your discipline has been to eat gummy bears or peanut butter that you tend to binge eat on, well, guess what's going to happen when you're stressed out and you're hungry? You guessed it. And so that's where the argument can be, hey, maybe these foods aren't the best. Maybe these high sugar, low fiber foods are not the best for your goals. And it's a discussion that we'll often have with people trying to lose weight. You'll see people on the internet saying like you can't lose weight successfully because of insulin, which is absolutely idiotic. You can absolutely lose weight and still have a high carbohydrate based diet, okay? It's all about your calorie intake. It's all about your activity levels, and are you creating a good environment for you to be able to sustain fat loss for a long time. Now, as you get lean, as you get to, let's say, 10% body fat for men and maybe 17, 18% body fat for women, what starts to happen? Hormonally, our body will start to change. That means our hunger hormones, the two that are most important are ghrelin and leptin. The one that is gonna make us feel full, well, that's gonna go down. And the one that's gonna make us hungry, that's gonna increase, right? So you're gonna see these changes in hormones that really start to pick up, especially between meals. And actually, when I get shredded, and hopefully I have some stock footage here I can show you of me being very lean. When I get super lean, and I'm talking about, a few weeks out from a show, when I'm, let's put a number on it and say maybe I'm 5% body fat, I'm hungrier after I eat. That's right. If I go, a couple, 3-4 hours without eating, I'll be okay. As soon as I eat a meal, that triggers more hunger. And it can actually be hard for me to stop eating. And that's when behavior and planning ahead become very important, because if I'm just gonna go grab something and eat out of a bag and not have a preset meal, it's gonna be very easy for me. Like your mind will start to play tricks on you. Here's something that many of you that have dieted before might even notice. I'll be a few weeks out from a show, I'll be very lean. I'll get up from the couch and I'll walk into the pantry and start looking around. And then I'll be like, why am I in the pantry? It's not time for me to eat. My body and my brain will get so hyper focused on food when I'm that lean that even myself, who knows it's going to happen, I just start to see these patterns of behavior. And so you can imagine, if you're not really aware of what's going on, it's very easy to reach in, grab something. I have kids, they have snacks around all the time. So where does the discipline come from for me? Well, it's about the goal. It's about, okay, I'm getting on stage. So you have to have that goal as well to keep you. But if you're not under 10% body fat, I don't think that these things are going to be quite an issue, especially if you're choosing high volume foods, okay? Lean meats, if you're planning your meals ahead, and I say this all the time, but your most successful trait of dieters is going to be people that plan their meals ahead, that pack them so that you're eating in a predictable manner. So let's talk a little bit about hunger. How does hunger work? I hear some people say, well, I don't eat all morning and I'm not hungry. Well, you know why you're not hungry? Because you don't eat all morning. Hunger, with most of us, is going to be related to the pattern at which we eat. People that fast for long periods of time and have a lot of success with that, well, your body adapts to that. So your body knows not to send out hunger signals during those hours, and then you only eat in your window, whether that's a 4-hour, 6-hour, 8-hour window. Maybe you eat every other day, whatever style of fasting that you do. This is a wonderful way for people to restrict calories. Now, do I think you have to fast? Do I think there are these other benefits from fasting that people propose? I think you get the same benefits from weight loss and from consistently hitting your numbers and, getting your body fat off that way. But it's really about personality. It's really about excitement. What gets you excited? If you feel like you're doing better things by fasting, guess what? Even if it's a placebo effect and it works, who cares? It's working. So finding the method that's going to work best for you. Some people are going to want to be hungry during their diet because they feel like psychologically that's effective. I feel like I'm hungry. My body is burning up food. I hear that all the time. Coach, I'm so hungry all the time. My metabolism is burning, and I don't have the heart to tell them, well, the real problem is that you're just eating all the time. So your body is constantly in a state of looking for food, right? So what I typically find is that 4 meals a day for me works absolutely best, spaced out 4-5 hours at a time. I'm gonna be a little bit hungrier after I wake up and do a little morning cardio. I'm gonna be a little bit hungrier after I do a workout. Might be a little hungrier, let's say later in the evening before I have my last meal, because that's my typical normal eating pattern. And that's what we wanna do, set up sustainable patterns of eating. Do you have to be very hungry during a fat loss phase? I would say no, not until you reach a place where your body fat set point starts to get challenged. And if you want to know what body fat set point is, I have a video on that. Maybe I'll remember to link it below when I'm editing this, but chances are good I will not. So just search Paul Ravella body fat set point theory, or you guys can search Paul Ravella in any topic you want. I have over 1,000 videos, and as much as I love getting the direct messages asking me for video topics, try searching for it first. There's a really good chance that I've covered it. So that's it for me today, guys. Hit subscribe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.